Hey guys, it's Alex here. I'm sitting across from my wife, Skylar. Today
Howdy.
we're going to be kicking off my interview series. What I'm looking to do this year is interview small business owners and entrepreneurs starting in Rhode Island and hopefully expanding across the nation in hopes of telling their story and to inspire my generation to start businesses, to take up entrepreneurship, and to help you guys find a path to success that anyone can still, and show that anyone can still live the American dream. So what we're looking to do here is start off by letting Skylar interview me, and I'm going to tell you guys my story, where I came from, what I'm doing today, how I got there. Maybe we'll get into some plans for the future. I think something big to understand is that I'm still figuring it out as we go every single day. I'm certainly not at any pinnacle of where I want to be, but I want to start documenting the process and encourage others to do the same, and encourage others to get out there, take action, and bet on yourselves. So I think with that being said, I'll introduce Skylar and let her take it from here.
Well, you introduced me already, but so it's going to be a very casual podcast. We're going to be silly, goofy, because that's just how we are in general. So, and it's also like we've never done this before. It's awkward. Like I'm sitting here. This is actually how I sit normally. But like it's not something structured. I'm sure a lot of people we know are going to be watching this. We're actually going to be starting a podcast of our own, but that's a surprise to come in the near future. But we know, we're going to have people watching this that either love or hate us. So it's going to be casual. We're not going to try to pretend to be people that we're not. So yeah, definitely awkward too. I feel like people don't talk about how awkward it is to
just stare at a camera and talk.
No, well, that, but also to film with like your significant other who you're the most comfortable with. Like this is so awkward. So anyway, we're gonna start with like a little icebreaker that has nothing to do with the podcast, which is your drink of choice in the morning. Alex didn't know this was coming because this is very boring, but Alex can start with how he starts his day.
My drink of choice in the morning is either a black espresso or just a black cold brew. Typically, though, good question. As I start my day, I wake up, I have one double shot of espresso and a banana every morning. Go work out, and then either have breakfast out and go to work, or come home, have breakfast, and get right to work. Today, I got a mistakenly made, what is this? Hot?
Okay, no.
Something?
So what I drink in the morning is typically a triple or quad shot latte with almond milk and some type of flavoring. I like to go to the Coffee Guy, shout out, in Bonnet, Rhode Island. Go see Steve. They make the best coffee, and it's clean ingredients, like not like shit from Starbucks. So no shade to Starbucks. I'll still drink a Starbucks, but also we're not filtering out swearing and stuff like that on here. This isn't preschool, so there's also that. But no, he got a hot version of what I got this morning. But he's kind of like a garbage disposal. He'll just drink and eat whatever.
It is very good. It's a little got a little sweet kick to it. It's great.
Well, let's not get it on a tangent. This is like filler, like awkwardness
but
that we're
real
trying.
Quick, the other thing is, shout out to Steve, the Coffee Guy. The purpose of this podcast is to give any small businesses an opportunity to get on camera, talk about their business, talk about how they started, where they're going, the work ethic it took to get where they're at today. And, actually love to interview you, Steve. Shout out to you. But same with any small business owners around Southern Rhode Island right now. I have a bunch of people lined up, and I'm really looking forward to getting going with the interview series, and we'll see where it goes from there.
And our mannerisms will get better. Like we're gonna not look down so much and things like that. Again, it's awkward. So, you know what? I know you're all gonna hate on us, but that's your own problem. So we can kind of start with a little bit of background. We're not like going to go in, like, don't give me your full life story from start to finish. Nope. Because no one cares about that, respectfully. But to kind of go over the like important basics that kind of would, I don't know, I'm like at a loss for words,
We'll just talk
flow
about
into what you're doing now.
got me into entrepreneurship,
Yeah,
because that's
hello.
the point of this podcast, right? So, I mean, I took a very typical journey. Say I grew up, middle class in a nice neighborhood. My parents were very loving. I had what I wanted, so I would never say I grew up poor and had nothing. Luckily, I'm very appreciative for it. But I also grew up
looking for the word fortunate.
Grew up very fortunate, that's correct. But I also grew up in a situation where my parents and a lot of people around us, went to college, got a job, and worked hard, saved in their 401k, and that was their retirement plan, right? And I think that's something to note, that today we're in this extremely different economy than we were when my parents grew up. And, I always thought that was a kind of weird concept when I was in high school and mostly into college. But what really got me into entrepreneurship was actually when I was in college. I, had a bunch of different jobs. I worked at a liquor store for an hourly wage. I worked at a boat club where I made commission, and I also made an hourly wage. That was really what introduced me to the opportunity to be able to make more based on the service you provide, the value you provide. We were absolutely cleaning up on tips every day we worked at the boat club. My friends and I worked there, and versus just working for an hourly paycheck. And I kind of realized, oh, this is something interesting here. That led me into waxing boats, and not to go off on a tangent on that, but went to college. I graduated as an engineering major. I absolutely despised I went to class, but I despised school. Only because of how we were taught in school. I wanted to go out there and learn with my hands and figure it out. So that's just the type of person I have always been with anything. So I graduated as an engineer. I went and worked for a corporate construction company for about a year and a half during COVID. It was nice having a job during COVID, but also all my friends, or majority of my friends, were on the beach getting paid more than I was making due to COVID money. Shout out COVID. But
no, we will not be recognizing COVID. We hate her.
COVID on this podcast. Also, shout out DoorDash. My roommates Clark, Aaron, and I, and Skylar.
I also DoorDash.
DoorDash and other people of my fraternity absolutely
DoorDash
cleaned
driver.
up on DoorDash.
DoorDash driver, not ordering. We did our fair share.
Yeah,
of
we were
ordering,
drivers, and we were making like $500-600 a week in college and during COVID.
That was crazy.
Great economics of that. There was a crazy demand and a low supply of drivers, so we took advantage of that. So all these different experiences, I think, in my life, shaped of how I started viewing the world and learning that providing value is how you make money, not just working and trading your time for money. What really, where the light bulb really went off was in my first month of work. Actually, I think it was my first month of work at this construction company. I got like a $60,000 salary, which was supposedly an amazing salary to make right out of college. So that comes down to $5,000 a month. The first year I was out of college, I waxed boats just about every day in June while I was still working after work, and I brought home $30,000 in 1 month. That's when
you did bring me in for reinforcements.
Skylar waxed a few boats. My cousin Mike was waxing some boats.
You were your cousin and business partner.
And business partner now, which we'll get to. But so that was like a crazy experience for me to see that I could make $30,000 in 1 month doing something versus $6,000. Obviously, we could go back and forth saying, well, it's not, it's not sustainable. You can't do it year round. Yeah, whatever. But it was a good taste of business, and then moving forward, I had a bunch of jobs. I worked at Electric Boat. I worked at Electric Boat for 1 month, realized I can't survive in corporate America. Feel free to interject whenever you'd like. So after Electric Boat, I went and actually while I was at Electric Boat, I bought my first rental property, and I'd love to.
The property is in Wakefield, Rhode Island, which is, like, for any of you guys that are watching or that may watch 3 years from now, when we hopefully get a little more traction. We're not trying to, also, side note, we're not trying to get famous or be influencers from this. That's not like, if it does get traction, great. But we're going to go into like hit our purpose and our drive more. I'm trying to tread lightly on what I say, because we're going to have our own podcast talking about things like that. But overall, anyway, we'll just keep that aside. But we're not starting this to be Rhode Island's next influencer, me be the next Alex Earl, even though love her.
She would love her.
But
this podcast is truly here, and it's really an interview series that'll be posted on YouTube and clipped on other social medias. But my goal here is to actually show other people in my generation, younger, even a little older, just aspiring entrepreneurs who feel a little bit stuck, need that extra push, need that help. Like, my goal is to make all this content and then provide an opportunity and platform for anyone to reach out to me and ask for help, ask for mentorship, ask questions, and create a community where we can all collaborate in a local environment or in a national environment, and just bring people my age, my generation together who have that same drive or want that I had, to not just go down and work for someone their whole life and, you know, retire at 65. Because one, I think it's just, you can't do it anymore. Like, I will die on that sword of, it does not work anymore in this economy. You need to be doing things different. You need to be thinking outside the box, and you really, really need to strive to be the best at anything you do in order to succeed right now. There's no more being average.
I'll interject there. You keep mentioning, like, obviously American dream. I don't know if you said financial freedom yet, but in one to two sentences, what is your definition of the American dream? Because everybody is going to have a different definition. You can look at the textbook definition or what the, generic American dream is supposed to be, but I guess I
think the American dream is to have the opportunity to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. And that's a very brief sentence, but to me that means that I want to create financial freedom so that I can choose to invest and work on businesses and own businesses with the people I want to be around and who I want to transact and have relationships with, and do things when I want. So really, that's like a definition of the American dream in my eyes, and also financial freedom. Maybe it's a little more.
I would say generic. Generic freedom in general.
But I also think the real American dream also is to have the opportunity for anyone in any situation to come into America or to be born in America and say, hey, I want to do this. I want to go start a construction company, and have the ability to start with nothing, educate yourself, bet on yourself, take that chance, start small, and grow until you're any size you want. Pretty much, you can get in America, you can get whatever you put in, you can get, let me rephrase that. In America, I do believe that you can get to anywhere you want if you put in the work, and all that ends up mattering is inputs and outputs and leverage. And anyone has the opportunity in America to this day to create whatever they want. I think that if I stopped doing anything I was doing right now and wanted to go do something else, I would have the education and understand the steps to take action, to just go do and strive to build whatever I want.
Okay, well, I think we also forgot, because like I said, this is not structured, it's very casual. Like, I'm already forgetting what I'm going to say. And also, I keep looking at my phone, not because I'm looking at it. I have notes on here because this is our first time doing this. But maybe you can talk about what you're doing now. I mean, we're going to get into, like, details in other podcasts, but now you are a business owner, and obviously, like, kind of...
so we won't overdo it with the details. I'm definitely going to do a different interview series with talking about my real estate deals and probably breaking down the businesses I own now with other people. But But going back to, I left Electric Boat, I bought a rental property, I turned it into a URI college rental. That's doing very well now. I bought that 4 years ago. Key thing to note is everyone in my life that I sought advice from at the time told me not to buy anything, said the economy's going to crash, rates are going to go down, whatever. Lock that in.
That's also the boomers. Wait, are they boomers or like our parents? Or
the boomers.
They can be very negative, and they think the world's gonna end all the time. Well, not all of them, but some of them.
My current thing on boomers is that I think that everyone in the boomer generation, or maybe between 40 and 60, likes to say that our generation doesn't know how to work, doesn't like to work, doesn't have any drive.
Which is partly true.
Which can be true, but I also think that
our generation is so lazy and expects handouts.
But I think every generation was partially like that. I also think that it's really the boomers' fault, or whoever your parents are, fault for how their kids are. So at the end of the day, it's not our fault for how we were raised and how we were taught. It's essentially our parents' generation's fault. Yet they like to always blame us. But you then
have to have the motivation to want to change that trajectory of your life. Like, I could get into like my dad and his background with his family, which I will another day on my own podcast. I'm not going to talk about like, you got to tread lightly with that one. But there was no, like, my dad came from nothing, and I shouldn't say came from nothing. That's ridiculous. But he had to start everything on his own, where one of his only sibling is not quite on the same path. So you have to want to get out of that. You know what I mean?
You have to have your own self-motivation. You have to seek education, and you have to decide if you want it and if you want to take a bet on yourselves. But I think just quickly talking about the boomer generation and that generation is, I think that they are extremely negative, and they're really painting a very negative picture for the world, for our economy, for our relationships and God and fitness and everything, where it's like, if we really want to help our generation be optimistic about the future and look at the future and say the future looks bright, I mean, we need to build. Shout out PBD.
That's also, well, at the end, that's one of the questions that's how we're gonna end. Anyway,
but so we need people to be building. We need to cast a compelling future for our generation, and that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to bring together like-minded, optimistic, successful business owners to have these conversations and show my generation that, look, there's still so much opportunity in the world. You can do anything that you set your mind to. All that matters is if you want to work hard, strategize, and just go out there and get it. That's all it takes today.
I want to reel you back in too, because you could go on and on. Well, any of us could go on and on about that. But so you talked about, obviously you're going to get into but you still didn't say what
I'm doing.
You own. Like, what company do you own? Like, if you can sum it up in 2 minutes, just because we are starting with a shorter episode, just because, that's just how we're doing it.
So 2022, I bought my first rental property. I was working at a couple custom home building companies. I learned a tremendous amount about construction. I learned, a tremendous amount about construction. From there, I went from buying one rental unit to closing on a large 24-unit multifamily cottage development in Charlestown, Rhode Island, fully seller financed. Love to discuss that deal another time. But that was in 2024, August 15th, 2024. I closed on that. So right now, our real estate portfolio consists of one college rental and 24 multifamily units that we're redeveloping at the moment. We're going to hold all that for long-term cash flow.
Sorry, our college rental that we own, also we're married. I don't know if Alex.
We are very much so married. For those who don't know.
I'm not just the girlfriend. So anyway, so the property that we own in Wakefield is not only, and this is another episode I'm actually going to talk about, because I actually manage that property, but we also rent it out during the summer months. So September to May is our students. So we do academic and then summer rentals. And then so typically we do like a 3-day minimum, rent it out in the summer. And, you know, so
It does very well in the summer, and it does very well throughout the school year. Because I locked in a very low interest rate and I bought it when I did, and I didn't listen to anyone who is not where I want to be in life, because that's also a good thing to note is don't seek advice from someone that's where you don't want to be. Seek advice from someone that's in a position of where you want to be in life.
Yep.
And again, moving forward from there, so that's what our real estate portfolio consists of. We'll definitely dig deeper into those 2 deals. Both of them are quite creative, quite intricate, quite unique, quite lucrative. But after that, I got into real estate really early. I'm really happy I did, but I definitely wish I got into owning my own business a little earlier. But anyway, after that, so I kind of, so right after I closed on that rental property, what was this, 2024? No, I did a year of kind of random freelance work in construction and project management, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Luckily for me, my cousin-in-law, Mike, decided he was going to change careers, a 10-year engineer, mechanical engineering, product engineering. And we decided we were going to partner up in October in 2025. And
no, 2024.
2024, I'm sorry. That makes more sense.
Yep.
Right after we bought the property. So anyway, we partnered up in 2024. And so we started that company. We've been doing very well. It's a custom home building company. Right now we're a little smaller scale. We're doing a lot of renovations, rehabs, some new construction. I have a lot of big plans for that business, and you know, we're looking to grow that over. I got a 20-year plan of how we're going to grow that business and really become a staple in luxury custom home building, new construction in Southern Rhode Island, and we'll see where we end up expanding from there. Just due to a very great opportunity last May, so in 2025, another friend of ours, Andrew, decided he wanted to get into operating and start an excavation company while he was working for us for only a month. So we said, yeah, we should definitely start a company sometime in the future. A month later, we bought our first machine, started an excavation company, got that all set up. I went out, got us some jobs. Next thing you know, we started 3 months later a massive site development, commercial site in Charlestown, and kind of just kicked off that company really quick. And you know, the other thought is that company is really supplementing our custom home building company, and it's just a great marriage there. And our partnerships are Mike and I's partnership and Andrew and I's partnership are just incredible. We really mesh well together.
It's you, Mike, and Andrew on Acre.
Excavation.
So you should also say the name of your companies:
Yeah.
Apollonia Ryan Construction and then Acre Excavation.
Yeah, Acre Excavation.
Is their last names.
Yeah, so
that was
Acre's
a clever way.
ACR, Apollonia Crocker Ryan Excavation, and then it ends up spelling ACRE, Acre. Shout out Mike for that brand play right there. That was pretty smart of you.
Mm-hmm. Mike is the brains behind everything.
So, yes, he is.
Well, a good chunk of the brains.
Brains behind all the mathematics. So, anyway, now that I have this ecosystem that I've built, construction and real estate, the reason I decided, I've been wanting to create content like this and education because I feel like it's so important to create it while we're actually doing it, not 20 years later trying to relate with kids that are starting out. You know, that's something where I feel like there's not anyone really talking about this stuff while they're in the process, while they're in the trenches, while they're dealing with all the bullshit that business sends your way, all the problems. So, you know, as a business owner, as someone who's doing it, I found that there are mentors at the next level that I talk to, but there's no one really dealing with all this day-to-day crap right now. And that's what I'm trying to also create here, is really form that community, form those people to, you know, even shoot a text to you, hey, I have a client that's not paying. How would you handle this situation? You know, hey, I failed this, you know, this inspector gave me some shit for the way I built this. Like, I thought I did it the right way. Like, how would you handle this? So creating collaboration amongst the trades and also, really creating a community where other entrepreneurs across all business industries, really small business industries, can collaborate and really just get like help starting up and building, right? Mm-hmm. So,
all right, so I think we're ready to wrap up the first episode. So there's kind of like two last, like, more fun questions, I guess. So if I can remember what I was going to say. This way, I think in the future, I noticed another podcast that we like, for their first few episodes, they were actually like taking notes. It's very hard to kind of remember when you start talking, then you overthink everything you're saying and focus on what you're saying that you don't remember anything. But I would say one of the questions was, what podcast is your biggest inspiration that is out there?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The PBD podcast. I mean, Patrick Bet David, I just bought and was a attendee at his business planning workshop this past year. First time ever really putting together a solid business plan. It's definitely changed the trajectory of my life, my businesses, my future, our future. And it's coming from a guy who emigrated here from Iran, started from nothing, built a $250 million insurance company, sold it, now is really just taking over the media world right now. I bet 5 years from now, if not sooner, he'll probably take over Fox, CNN, MSNBC. It will be much bigger than all those companies because he's just putting out, him and his team, they're just putting out authentic capitalistic content and motivational content and no bullshit, just straight to the point. This is how you be successful in America. Look at us. I was an immigrant, he was an immigrant. And one day he just said, I'm going to change my life. He educated himself. He put the work in, put the time in, and let the American dream build from there, really.
I think I remember him saying too, because I listen to all his podcasts as well. I absolutely love him. That's how I get my news. I don't watch the news. I listen to his whole team break down every news headline, because obviously they lean a certain way politically, but at the same time they challenge each other. They don't always agree on everything, which is really nice, because, like, I don't know, that's a whole nother story for another day. But I remember him saying at like 24, maybe 20, he was very early 20s, he was like $40,000 in credit card debt, and now is like, would you say he's a billionaire?
Not a billionaire, but he could be close. I mean,
I have no idea what.
He's probably worth a couple $100 million personally, and his company that he's building is going to be probably one of the biggest media consulting and digital content firms in the U.S. soon. So, definitely a huge inspiration. And I think the other reason he's such a big inspiration is that he's just very fair, honest. He encourages debate, and, he never gets emotional with his points. And he always will sit down with people, hear their side of the story, and then he'll debate them by giving his opinions based on what's worked for him. And, that's what I'm trying to do here. We're not, in this interview series, we're not really getting into politics, but politics also is important. It's what controls the world. So, it's definitely something as a business owner that you need to be educated on, you need to understand. But one thing we're not going to ever get into is emotional politics. And, that's that on that end. So.
Okay, I was writing down so I don't go brain dead again this time. So I don't know where you decided you're going to have people like follow you. Do you have an account for your interview, like social media accounts? Where can they find you, or where can people find you?
So this video is going to be posted on my personal YouTube channel, alex.apollonia, and then it's also going to be posted on my Instagram and TikTok, alex.apollonia. And as we develop this interview series, we're going to be posting the link to our private free community where we're going to be able to have discussions based on every interview and go from there. That'll be hosted on circle.com, but it'll be my own domain. So more to come on that. I'm very excited to launch that, host those videos on there, and start building a community of like-minded entrepreneurs.
And then your Instagram account is at alex.apollonia for anyone that's watching on a different platform right now.
We'll put that in the comments
Then
below.
we're going to do a call to action. This is my idea, but leave any comments below, even positive feedback. Just leave a comment so we can get some traction for Alex, just even around Rhode Island, because I'm sure there's so many new businesses, older businesses that are trying to spruce things back up. Leave comments, and then also comment below for any topics that you'd like to see him go over. As far as us two, if you have any personal questions for us, we are starting probably within the next week. Our podcast is starting. That will have its own media accounts, and that's more personal, and that's going to be more lifestyle based, talking about anything and everything. That's not going to be really business oriented. So that's another thing. But yeah, comments.
Comment, like, share. Please reach out.
We sound like real podcaster influencers. Meanwhile, there's going to be literally no sharing. But
Probably
this
no
is the
one will
first.
even view it.
No,
I'm just kidding. But please reach out also if you are a business owner, if you're interested in having a conversation, if you're interested in letting me interview you, because going forward, I have about 30 business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, mentors lined up where I'm going to be interviewing them, and we're going to get to hear their stories and go in probably a little more details, a little more in depth in their entrepreneurial journeys. And then we'll probably do another couple rounds of these interviews, or myself talking personally about getting into my real estate deals, getting deep into business discussions, topics, and other stuff like that. So, again, please follow along and watch this thing develop, and please help me develop it.